first time tonight, we are speaking one-on-one with the Democratic candidates for Montgomery County Commission, and weather is also top of mind tonight. We want to give you a live look right now from our Troy traffic camera. Absolutely beautiful day today, sunny, warm, but we do have a cold front making its way in, and that could bring the potential for some strong storms. We're going to get to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters in just a moment. First tonight, we do want to start with our election coverage. The countdown is on to Ohio's primary election, just 6 days left. So that means next Tuesday, we will find out who will face off against one another come November. Jennifer Bork is covering the Montgomery County Commissioner's race tonight. Now, she spoke with both Democratic candidates who are now vying for one of the available seats. Jennifer, what do they have to tell you?
Elise, both candidates tell me there are multiple issues for the commission to tackle in Montgomery County. Surprisingly, though, they both mentioned the same one first. Affordable housing is top of mind for both Democratic candidates trying to win a seat on the Montgomery County Commission this primary cycle. Incumbent Judy Dodge says there are a lot of good things happening in the county, but there are also still challenges.
A lot of it is the homeless. There's no question about it. It's not going away. And one of the problems is these people cannot find affordable housing. These people are struggling. We need to get them decent positions that will afford them to get a place to live, plus helping on their rental so it isn't sky high.
Dodge's opponent, Yusuf El-Zain, says he's seen the ups and downs of progress in the county in the time he's lived here since 1998.
The biggest thing still remains the abandoned homes. That's very important to me. That needs to really be paid attention for. That's one actually of my platforms, helping restore housing, affordable housing specifically in Dayton, taking care of abandoned properties in Montgomery County as well as the surrounding, the neighborhoods.
I also asked each candidate about election integrity, especially after the Montgomery County Board of Elections investigated a leaked document last month. I asked them what they would say to voters who don't completely trust the process.
I think that the process went through what it had to go through, and everything's back on track again. And sometimes maybe someone might make a misstep, but it's never intentional as far as I'm concerned. And I've always felt very, very comfortable, and I've been on the ballot many times, and I felt very, very comfortable with everything was voted on and counted, and there were no missteps. So I feel very good.
We need to differentiate. So the process to get elected is one thing, and the process of voting is totally different. And I am an advocate. So up till, believe it or not, February 21st, I didn't do anything except encouraging our community members to register to vote. Look at your voice when you vote, because I believe that one vote is one voice, regardless of where you are, regardless of what the color of your skin is. You will go into that ballot box and you will make a difference.
Both candidates say they're excited for Tuesday. We'll have more from both of them on election night. If you'd like to hear their stances on some of the important issues, you can go to Dayton247now.com. Back to you.
And of course, we've been keeping you up to date with everything you need to know before you head on out to the polls. You can find all of our election coverage online at Dayton247now.com. Just click the election heading in the news tab. Now to our other big story tonight, obviously weather, not today's weather because it was perfection, but we've got some things kind of brewing, I think.
Tomorrow, we have the potential for some strong to severe storms. It always happens after we get this beautiful weather. This time of the year, it's March in Ohio. Anything could happen for us, and unfortunately we do have the risk for some stronger to severe storms tomorrow. There are some uncertainties with this, but for right now we just want to stay weather aware and be prepared ahead of tomorrow's potential storms, because these storms could produce some damaging wind gusts. That's going to be our main concern. We could see an isolated tornado that is a non-zero threat for the day tomorrow, so we're going to watch that very closely. Heavy rain, of course, with any thunderstorm we could see some heavier downpours, and then large hail could be a potential too. As far as our risk goes, we have a level 1 threat for severe storms for pretty much the entire Miami Valley, although I would not be surprised if with our next update, we perhaps see part of our region under that level 2 threat for severe storms. So for the day tomorrow, we're quiet right now. We're going to stay in the 50s overnight. Kids will be prepared for the threat for some thunderstorms, non-severe in the morning, but potentially could see some of those severe storms for tomorrow afternoon.
At this hour, the jury in the murder trial against the 2 men accused of shooting and killing Dayton Police Detective George Del Rio is home. They deliberated already for several hours before being sent home to come back tomorrow morning to continue deliberations. Leah Bice breaks down what happened in federal court.
The jury began deliberations around 12:55 this afternoon after a morning of closing arguments from the defense. Now, since this is federal court, our cameras cannot go inside the courtroom, but I can tell you that Nathan Goddard Jr.'s attorneys went first, and they questioned the credibility of the prosecution's witnesses and said that Goddard made, quote, an honest mistake and shot Detective Del Rio in self-defense. Now, Cocky Courtner's defense then presented their closing arguments, saying that the prosecution has multiple theories about Courtner that cannot be proven. For example, the prosecution claims that Courtner was a drug dealer assisting Goddard in his dealings. However, the defense says that's not the case and that Courtner cooperated with police and notified them of his personal gun when they found him in that home on Ruskin Road. Now, the prosecution got their chance to rebuttal before the jury began deliberations, and they ended by showing a video of Goddard, which they say proves that he shot Detective Del Rio with ill intent. In that video, Goddard says, quote, I thought it was the police. First thing I did was grab my pistol. Now, deliberations ended today around 4:45, and the jury is due back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Now, when they do reach a verdict, whether it be tomorrow or a different day, we'll be sure to bring you their decision both here on air and online at Dayton247now.com. Back to you.
Tonight, the man connected to a deadly shooting of a 15-year-old girl is now waiting to be arraigned in court tomorrow after being indicted on murder charges. This man here, 29-year-old Tommy Moreland, now sits in the Montgomery County Jail facing multiple counts of murder, felonious assault, and gun-related charges. He's accused of shooting a gun from a car and hitting and killing Heaven Washington on Philadelphia Drive and Turner Road. Tonight, we have new concerns surrounding the Hospitality Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Xenia. This video you see here behind me was taken by the mother of a resident showing what she calls deplorable living conditions. Gwyneth Falloon is now following the story for us live in studio. Gwen, I know you've actually been doing some digging, so what were you able to find?
Elise, I found nearly 90 reports from the Department of Health and Human Services and Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, including this one right here, which resulted in a nearly $63,000 fine. And this is from less than a year ago, August actually, and accused the center of putting one or even more residents in harm's way. Also, the Department of Aging also reports some of the lowest ratings for the center when it comes to quality, staffing, and health inspections.
This is devastating, you know. I feel real helpless.
Jennifer Carter took this video in the Hospitality Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Xenia.
Sunday I come in and it was just deplorable conditions. There were bugs, and my son expressed that he was scared of the bugs, and that was kind of just the straw that broke the camel's back.
Carter's 28-year-old son has been at the facility since May for a traumatic brain injury, and this is not the only issue she's had.
My son had a wheelchair that did not fit him. I asked multiple times for one that would fit him. He tried to transfer one day from the bed to the wheelchair. The wheel broke out from underneath the wheelchair. He fell into the floor.
According to the Ohio Department of Aging's website, the center has a 1-star out of 5-star overall rating, health inspection score, and staffing score, and 2 stars for quality. All are below the state's average. Medicare also reports 87 deficiencies, which means the center failed to meet standard care requirements. 5 of those 87 resulted in infection, and they've paid fines for 10 other deficiencies. The largest fine dates back to just August 2023 for nearly $63,000. The accusation being, quote, the facility failed to implement their abuse policy, recognize sexual abuse of a resident by a staff member, thoroughly investigate an allegation sexual abuse, and fail to protect one resident from continued sexual abuse and exploitation due to staff failing to intervene when they learned of housekeeper having a sexual encounter with resident in his room. While I found these issues with the facility, some who live there say they don't have any problems.
I wouldn't live in a place if it was like that. I would have, I would have found another facility, or I would have went, somewhere else if it was that bad.
Freddie Jackson is now speaking up, saying the accusations are not true.
Facility don't look nothing like that. It's clean, housekeeping's there all day, and they sweep them up the halls, they sweep them up all the rooms. All you gotta do is hit the call light, and they'll be there.
I reached out to the center for a statement regarding the claims. They say in part, hospitality nursing and rehab continues to be dedicated to the service of our beloved residents and staff. We are committed to delivering quality care and a safe, clean environment for our residents.
The center also says it is working with the Ohio Department of Health. I have reached out to that agency, but I'm still waiting to hear back. In the meantime, though, you can find these reports online as well as on our website at Dayton247now.com. I have linked them in the web version of this story. Back to you.
Gwen, thank you. Cell phone use in the classroom has become a major distraction in many schools across the state. What the state's governor and educators are now doing to tackle the issue. And speaking of the governor, DeWine issuing an executive order ahead of next month's total solar eclipse. How other state agencies are making sure the crowds coming to see it will stay safe.
And calm out there right now, but storms are on the way. We could see some on the strong to severe side too. That's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
tonight, Governor Mike DeWine is now taking action to make sure everyone is safe during next month's total solar eclipse. In fact, he signed this executive order you see here behind me to ensure all state departments and agencies are ready. This comes as state agencies spoke today on what the hundreds of thousands of people coming to see the eclipse in Ohio should expect. Kasha Hancock tells us their main message, of course, was safety.
The countdown is on. We're less than a month away from the total solar eclipse, and a big message from state officials today: pack your patience. As hundreds of thousands of people plan to gather to watch Ohio's solar eclipse on April 8th, safety is the #1 thing on state agencies' minds. The Ohio Emergency Management Agency, Ohio Department of Transportation, and State Highway Patrol say that weekend all hands will be on deck. Those planning to watch the eclipse should be mindful of distracted driving, suggesting that if you need to look at directions, have a passenger do it, and to have a checklist of emergency items.
Before heading out to your destination, make a preparedness kit for your vehicle and include items like paper maps, snacks, drinks, cash, a cell phone charger, blankets, and certainly remember to pack your patience in your vehicle's preparedness kit as well.
Highways are expected to be backed up, I-75 being one of them, and they say for the weekend to be successful, it's going to take patience from all attendees. Remember that as you're driving, it's prohibited to stop on roadways or ramps. For more information about preparing for the solar eclipse and learning how to stay safe, you can visit the web version of this story on Dayton247now.com. Back to you.
We, of course, have been keeping you up to date on all things eclipse related on air and online. You can find all the coverage, including free eclipse glasses giveaways and even a list of school schedule changes for Eclipse Day at Dayton247now.com. Just click on the 2024 eclipse heading in the news tab.
Well, it was a beautiful one for today, but big changes on the way as our next weather maker begins to make its way through, bringing the threat for severe storms across the area. Already seeing some of that severe weather through parts of Missouri. Tornado watch, that box in yellow, severe thunderstorm watch, what you see in the box in pink. So a couple rounds of storms will be possible. Early into the morning, we could see a few storms developing, mainly north of I-70. Not really worried about severe storms with this round. But by the afternoon hours, after lunchtime, we have the potential for a complex of storms to develop, making its way in, bringing that threat for severe storms. There are some uncertainties on this first round of storms, but either way, this will pose a severe weather risk. So we want to be weather aware and prepared for any storms that do develop for the area tomorrow. And then another round potentially by late tomorrow evening, as we start to see this cold front make its way through, triggering more storms across the area, lingering rain showers into the day on Friday. Again, colder air sliding in as well. I'll have more on how cold we'll get coming up.
Our sister station and thousands in Cincinnati tonight are mourning the loss of longtime anchor John Lomax. He passed away at 72 years old. He died unexpectedly yesterday after complications from pneumonia. Lomax anchored the morning news at WKRC for 32 years and worked in the newsroom for 40. He just retired in April of 2022. The city of Cincinnati proclaimed John Lomax Day on November 25th in 2015. But he was most proud of being a great father, an amazing pop, a mentor, and a friend.
We all walked away from John better people. We all learned about compassion and caring in a business that, honestly, you develop a lot of cynicism here, but John taught us to be good people, and he showed us the value of treating other people as you'd want to be treated yourself.
He was another dad. And man, he made work a lot better.
John also had a passion for giving back to the community. He supported charities all across the tri-state and volunteered for public events. Our hearts are with our friends at Local 12 tonight as they mourn the loss and remember the life of John Lomax. Here's a live look, or I should say, at our nation's Capitol. Congress, or the House, actually passed a bill to ban TikTok in the U.S. if its Chinese owner ByteDance doesn't sell it. Well, with a 352-65 vote, that bill then heads to the Senate. Again, it doesn't outright ban TikTok. It's called a divestment. So if it passes, the app's parent company would have 5 months to sell it. If ByteDance does not do that, The bill would prohibit TikTok from being available for downloads in app stores. Now, President Biden says he would sign it into law if it makes it to his desk. TikTok maintains it is not controlled by China. And on Governor Mike DeWine tonight, teaming up with educators on that note across the state to address cell phone use in the classroom. The governor says it is affecting students' education and mental health and distracting them from their learning. DeWine even mentioning TikTok, saying it adds to it. Carly Van Cleve breaks everything down.
The use of cell phones in the classroom. Many school leaders say it's distracting students from their education. One of those distractions, TikTok, an app the governor says may need to be banned.
Well, I hope that every school in the state takes a look at this problem of having phones in schools. I know anecdotally from talking to teachers, it's a big problem. It's a distraction. It also, I think, has an impact on the kids' mental health.
It's not a ban of TikTok, it's a divestment bill. It says you can continue to do it, but you can't have it under the control of the Chinese Communist Party.
The potential TikTok ban heads to the Senate now. If it passes, the parent company of the app gets 6 months to sell, or they'll face a nationwide ban. From the State House, I'm Carly Van Cleve reporting.
Well, quiet out here on our Watson's weather patio, but big changes on the way. We have that threat for severe weather tomorrow, followed by much colder air sliding its way in. Wanted to talk about those temperatures tomorrow. I think we'll see our highs top out in the 70s, but eventually we'll start to see colder air slide in after a cold front makes its way through on Friday. So we're going to spend most of the day on Friday in the 40s. We top out around 60, but we'll see falling temperatures as the day goes on. And then there you see Saturday morning, high temperatures back, or temperatures I should say, back into the 30s. And then it gets even colder from there. So here's a look at what we're tracking. Temperatures continue to fall by Monday. That looks to be the coldest day of these next 7 days. High temperatures, they're going to be in the upper 30s, even some snowflakes in the forecast too. So I'll time it all out for you coming up.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now. We're learning tonight a judge in the 2020 election interference case dismissed some of the charges against former President Donald Trump and several of his co-defendants. In fact, the judge dropped 6 counts in the indictment, including 3 against Trump himself. He says the charges lacked specific information regarding the violations he was accused of. The rest of the charges, though, are still intact. And we do have new information tonight regarding last month's deadly shooting at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. 3 men are now facing federal firearm charges in connection to the shooting that left 1 person dead and nearly a dozen injured. You have charges against 22-year-old Fado Antonia Manning, 21-year-old Dwayne Williams,